Okay, so here's another interesting one that Discussing Film put out. They kind of mentioned here this interview that Kevin Feige has given them for eventizing the MCU, which is an interesting way of talking about it. And Feige, the article is kind of, it's this, it's kind of like, I can't find exactly what his whole little piece is, what he says about it. But, he says here, I don't know, right? Like there's been a lot of fights about it this week. Okay. Okay. So head honcho Kevin Feige is all for the week by week format. The topic of The Mandalorian success came up during a press event for WandaVision, and the famed studio president didn't hold back at how much of a fan he was. Because let's be fair, he has heavily inspired The Mandalorian, at least season 2. I don't think you're going to be able to convince me otherwise of that one. He says, there's lots and lots of The Mandalorian that has inspired us at Marvel Studios, not the least of which is the stagecraft technology that they pioneered that we're using on some upcoming projects. Yes. Yes. I love stagecraft tech, dude. The volume is just sexy to me. It's so sexy. It's as a tech person, like I love filmmaking. I love the process. I love the techniques. The volume is just like the sexiest thing I've seen in so long. It's just so sexy. I'm just keep saying it's sexy. Deal with it. The technology in question refers to the advancements with LED stage production pioneered by ILM. Almost any type of lighting and atmosphere from any kind of imaginable terrain can be replicated indoors. Yep. And some of the upcoming MCU shows, Feige could be hinting at Loki and Secret Invasion. All right. So what he says here, one of the things that's I was always concerned about was to say anything that we do, we want to eventize. We want to make people understand that these are projects on Disney Plus, that they are as important as the projects going into theaters, and we want to feel the same excitement. The Disney marketing team is the best in the world and the best of all time, frankly, right now. And they certainly showed what they can do that they can do that spectacularly on Disney Plus with The Mandalorian. So the way they've done the week to week breakdown, the way that they've done all this kind of stuff, the way that they've put it all together, it really does go to show you that the week to week format is great. Now, look, you might be arguing, but man, I don't like to wait. I want to binge. I want it all at once. I need it all at once. If I don't have it all at once, it pains me. I've heard those arguments. I'm hyperbolizing a little bit. I'm being a bit facetious, but I've heard those arguments from a lot of people online. Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. The binge model is failing, immeasurably failing. It's terrible for what you ultimately want. Now, let me explain. Yes, I like binging a show as well. All right. But the pump and dump method that Netflix has proliferated, the pump and dump method that they've put out there in the way that has made them as popular as they are, ultimately has a downside to it. 10 years on, it's a downside because the pump and dump, it's consume, and then it's over. Now, someone might say, oh, but what about Stranger Things? And what about The Queen's Gambit? Sure. Queen's Gambit. Yeah, it had a lot of hype for a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it's kind of over now. Stranger Things we haven't seen in a year and a half. We don't know when season 4 is coming. We just don't know. So no one's really talking about it. And when season 4 or season 3 of Stranger Things released, it was a shorter season, 8 episodes, came out July 4th weekend, 2019. People binged through it, talked about it for a couple days, and then it was kind of over, right? It's kind of over. And I've said the same thing about Zack Snyder's Justice League. It should not be a movie. It should be a 4-hour limited event series spaced out week to week. Apparently that's not what's going to happen anymore. And that's dumb. It's very dumb. So dumb. But a lot of people out there are disagreeing with me like, no, I want it all right now. You don't. I think it's the trauma, and I mean this, the trauma and the PTSD that comes from how television and television, network television has treated you for literally your entire life. Because remember how it is, right? You watch a show and it's all heavily promoted. It's like, coming this Sunday to Fox, he's a man on the search for his daughter, who's a burrito kidnapped by the cartel in Juarez, Mexico. He's Nathan Fillion in El Guapo del Taco Burrito. I don't know. Whatever, man. Okay, I'm making it up. But they hype it. They hype the hell out of it. They hype the shit out of it. Then what happens? Show comes out. Maybe they give, this is Fox, by the way, so they give like maybe 1-2 episodes. And if it fails to connect in any conceivable measure, they cancel it. That's one example. But what about a show that goes on 3-4 seasons, has a dedicated fan base of people, it gets to that cliffhanger finale, then it gets canceled before going into the last season in order to be able to wrap up the storyline? How do you feel when those characters are gone and you do not get closure? It hurts. It actually has been scientifically proven to raise your cortisol levels, causing you, and this is real, physical pain and anguish. Because the connection that we have with these fictional characters, be it in literature or media, can actually, when they're gone, manifest that self in the same way that we feel if we lose someone that we know in our real life. I am not making that up. So when you talk about binge culture, it's a show that they're going to put the entire season out so you get all of it. So you're given that little bit. You're given that taste. But even Netflix with this binge culture, how many shows has it canceled before giving it a proper conclusion? Santa Clarita Diet was a pretty big one. You know? They've canceled a bunch of shows that never got a conclusion. Even though they gave you the whole season, you still don't get that closure. You don't get that money shot. You don't get that finish. And after years and years and years and years and years of that kind of torment, it creates a trauma bond with these particular outlets. And this is an overarching problem. Shows will do better when they have week-to-week consumption to build a solid foundation. And the thing is, the studios have to. They want to make their shows more popular. And they want more longevity, and they want to make more money. What they have to do is trust in the product to see it through. And if things aren't working out, do not just pull the cord. Do not just pull the plug. You have to give it a finale to add closure. That will then work with the audience who will trust you for your next endeavor. How many times have you said, I'll watch a show when they get like halfway through the season, or I know it's getting a full season run, or when it comes out, I can binge it or whatever. You don't want to put up the emotional currency in order to be able to experience this when it's time, right? You don't want to do it because of all the times those network television stations, those cable stations, Netflix, whatever, have smacked you with their dick square in the face. You just don't want to do it. It's trauma and it's PTSD. I'm not making that up either. I'm legitimately being honest with you guys on this one.